Holes 1. So that's who he is. You got it wrong. Coming up on Newsnight, Zimbabwe's presidential inauguration has been postponed. This follows the MDC-Alliance's court bid to overturn last week's election results. A member of the ZANU-PF joins me shortly to discuss this development.
On the 947 Breakfast Club, good morning.
It is a good day to be a Joburger.
It's your leading player, Ayanda MVP, streaming into your offices.
Got Gershwin on the line. He's about to take a leap of faith.
Joburg, should we count him down?
3, 2, 1, jump!
I love it. 947.
We live in an incredible country. Beautiful, intense, challenging. Every day I meet extraordinary South Africans who have a story to tell. Not all will make headlines, but they all matter. On E-News, we try to choose the stories that get us talking, that challenge us. Because that is how we are moved to make a difference. That is how we grow. Those stories make up the fabric of who we are as a nation, as a world, and shape where we are going. On E-News, we tell the South African story. Join the story.
Welcome back. Zimbabwe's presidential inauguration has been postponed. This follows the MDC-Alliance's court bid to overturn last week's election results. The opposition party is accusing the Electoral Authority of rigging the results. Now, the ZANU-PF narrowly won the elections. To discuss this and more on the ongoing situation in Zimbabwe, I'm joined by a member of the ZANU-PF's National Strategy Team, AC Lumumba. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. We saw the MDC going to court today to challenge the outcome of the vote. Of course, they say they have evidence that it was rigged. What do you say?
It's theatrics. You know, MDC, if you look at their history, is a party full of theatrics. Whenever they lose an election, the first thing they do is make grand theater. If they're not asking for sanctions, they're asking for people to get on the road, they're asking for a rerun, or they're asking for government of national unity. When you lose an election, democracy is not tested by how do you deal with a victory. It's tested by how do you deal with the defeat. Everybody who has the job to monitor the elections, monitored them, and announced that the process, as good as can be, produced Emerson Mnangagwa as a winner. So what MDC is doing is theatrics. And why do they do this theatrics? Because it's the trend across the world. If you look at anywhere where recent elections have taken place, Pakistan and Mali are recent examples. If you want to look at Southern Africa, Zambia just had an election last year. As soon as somebody is defeated, they say, no, I wasn't defeated. In fact, it's not a free and fair election until I win. So they're looking for attention. They will get it because this is how they also get their bills paid. That's all there is, theatrics. There is nothing breaking news about filing a petition because it's the law. You know, you can't say someone requested the law to take its course, so it's breaking news. They are allowed to do so within the framework of the law. They will do it. It will come to absolutely no avail.
Well, I guess it's breaking news because it's a historic vote in Zimbabwe. If it was perhaps under Robert Mugabe, it wouldn't be breaking news. That's the difference. But I want to talk to you about them saying that they had polling agents who were not allowed to view the results at polling stations, that they have inflated figures of voter turnout in areas despite a registered amount of people being in those areas. Those seem to be valid arguments.
Good. So I'm glad you brought that up. First of all, under Robert Mugabe, they also contested. After every election, they went to court. But the claims you've just brought up, those are just two. They have more. I mean, one of their claims is when you put an X on Nelson Chamisa, you wait for about 5 minutes or an hour, 5 minutes to an hour, the X moves and it goes to Mnangagwa. Their other claim is, did you not see all of those rallies we had? All of those people are actually our supporters. Oh, hold on. They have another claim. Their other claim is, Justice Chigumba, the chairperson of Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, was beaten up on the day of announcing the results. That's the only reason she announced the results. They failed to understand. If you have evidence, it's a party led by lawyers. If you have evidence to any case, first of all, social media is not the platform for you to air your evidence. You follow the legal channels like they have done now. You go to court, present your evidence in court, it will be tested, and the litmus will take place in court. And it will. And we will realize that there is really no story MDC is trying to sell. It's attention seeking. It's a lot of singing, a lot of noise, but absolutely nothing that sticks there. That's why they've thrown everything. They don't have one thing they've thrown. They've just kind of said, let's throw everything. Hopefully one thing sticks and we go to a rerun. The idea is let's get a back channel into government. And if we can't get a back channel into government, we ask for sanctions. We ask for people to get on the road. We ask for the country to be ungovernable. They learned this from Raila Odinga in Kenya. The advisor to Nelson Chamisa right now is Raila Odinga. What do you think he's telling Nelson Chamisa to do?
Yeah. Now, what about reports that security forces are cracking down on MDC members?
Absolutely false. You know, you have to understand, when you're trying to sell a propaganda machinery, what you do is you fabricate any story. And MDC is incredible at fabricating stories. I mean, they've fabricated stories from the day they started their campaign. If there is a case, should you not report it to the police? Again, is social media become the new law? Is that where you go and you report your case? If there is an errant police officer, if there is an errant military man, should you not be going through the formal legal channels and reporting that matter? There hasn't been such a matter. The police commissioner came out and issued a statement. The head of the military came out and issued a statement. Sorry, the military spokesperson issued a statement to say, we have nothing to do with what you're speaking of. If you have evidence of the claim you're making, can you bring that claim forward? Tendai Biti was the superhero who said, I am willing to die for my cause, was running out of the country, said, oh, okay, now I'm not willing to die for the cause anymore, but now the military wants to kill me. It's all allegations that are baseless from a people that are desperate.
But we have organizations like the UNHCR in Zimbabwe confirming that people are being targeted because they are MDC members. So how is it all fabrication? It's not just the MDC saying it.
Okay, so let's talk about the UNCR, which you have brought up. In fact, there's more organizations. There's the American Embassy, there's the British High Commission, and there's the Electoral Observer mission teams in the country. All they have said is there are reports that are coming that this is happening. When you ask them, where are the reports coming from? Surely, even in this country, South Africa, if I report a matter, I should get a police record to the report I have made. But when I call you on ENCA and I make a legal report to you, that's not a report. That's me selling propaganda. Anybody who has a report, and I challenge anybody, if you have a report, why don't you send it to the police? We have seen the police doing their job. Tendai Biti was not harmed by the police. He was let go home very smoothly. So I don't understand all these claims that, oh, we believe that there's ghosts coming at night. It's the message and direction. Everything happening in Zimbabwe, by the way, is identical to what Raila Odinga did in Kenya. After court, you just watch. This time next week, they'll be announcing that we're now doing a people resistance movement where we're going on the street, we're boycotting, we're rioting, we're protesting. This country is going to become ungovernable. This is what desperate people do across the world. Maturity determines that when you are in this setup, you rise up to the level by telling your people to calm down, not telling them to rise up and riot.
So Tendai Biti was in court today.
He was.
And what did he tell the court? He told them there were attempts to assassinate him, that he was abducted in Zambia by Zimbabwean agents wearing balaclavas.
Great. I'm glad you brought Tendai Biti up. Let me tell you what Tendai Biti also said. 2008, Tendai Biti is the one who, when Morgan Tsvangirai said, let's not go on the street, let's be peaceful, Tendai Biti said, no, too long. Let's go on the street and be violent right now. On the 29th of July, it's Tendai Biti who said, we are going to defend our vote and we're willing to die for a vote, we will get on the street. Let me remind you, there is a law in the country. This is what the law says. You cannot announce election results before election day. Did he announce it or did he not? He did. The law also says you should be answerable to the courts when you do. He's simply being asked to be answerable. What happened when he went on his road trip to Zambia? Who abducted him? Why they abducted him? Why was Tendai Biti running away in the first place? He sells this narrative because he's a dead-by-night politician who nobody cares about anymore. The only way to raise your profile is you go out there, you say, hoo-ha, they're trying to kill me. Look, I was put in prison for 6 weeks by Robert Mugabe, and I tell you, there is absolutely nobody who comes for you when you're in that position. The only way to get noticed is get out, make noise, and hopefully somebody pays your attention and you make some money. Tendai Biti is simply out to make some money and get rid of Nelson Chamisa. It's that simple.
So tell me about how Zimbabweans feel, because we've been speaking to them, and I want to hear you tell me that this is fabrication, because it'll be hard to. We have many Zimbabweans who have told us that they're afraid to be on the streets, to use their democratic right to protest against certain things.
Right.
How is that a democratic state?
Well, let's be very clear why Zimbabweans are afraid. So you're right, Zimbabweans could be afraid, and I'll tell you where the fear came from. On the 1st of August, MDC incited young people to get on the street. These young people who got on the street exercising their democratic right, shut down people's businesses, stopped people from being able to go and come back from school. These MDC young people are the ones who went to other political party offices and burned cars. I know you want to get to the military then came out. Yes, it did, and that should never be condoned. But before we got there, the people who spread fear on the streets with their language, words are what started the Holocaust. Words are what started the genocide in Rwanda. Words are what started what happened on the 1st of August. Words are powerful. MDC uses them to destroy. ZANU-PF, Emmerson Mnangagwa particularly, is trying to use them to build. So yes, people could be afraid, but they must be assured President Emmerson Mnangagwa will put this country back on the right track. He's the president of the country. He will demonstrate presidential credentials.
I now know why you have this job. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, AC Lumumba is the ZANU-PF's national strategy team member.